Shadow in the Stone Walls Part 1. The Gilded Cage. It was 1920 in Chicago. The jazz age was in full swing, but for 10-year-old Oliver Vanderbilt, the world had shrunk to the size of a vast, but empty, mansion on prestigious Prairie Avenue. His father, Cornelius Vanderbilt, was a successful industrialist, his mother, Isabelle, a socialite. Oliver grew up in an atmosphere of luxury, but not love. His existence was a carefully planned accessory to their impeccable reputation. They bought him the most expensive toys from the Sears catalog, hired the best governesses, but the sound of his childish laughter never echoed within those walls. His parents treated him with a cold, detached politeness, as if he were a promising asset that had yet to prove itself. His only refuge was his father's library with its dark oak paneling and the smell of old paper. There, in an armchair by the fireplace too large for him, he felt safe. Part 2. The rival. Everything changed one autumn evening when Isabelle announced with a triumphant air that they were going to have a child. Soon, Emily was born. With her arrival, the meager share of attention Oliver received evaporated completely. The mansion filled with the unfamiliar smells of baby powder and milk, the bright voices of nannies, and the endless admiration of guests gathered around the crib. Oliver tried to fight. He studied harder, drew a portrait of his mother, tried to tell his father about a new train model. But it all shattered against a wall of indifference. Not now, Oliver. Your sister is crying. You're too old to be jealous. Behave like a gentleman. The climax came the day he, trying to get a closer look at his sister, lost his grip and dropped her silver rattle. A deafening clatter rang out. His mother burst into the room, shouting, "Get away from her. You'll hurt her." In her eyes, he saw not just irritation, but real fear. Fear of him. He wasn't a son, he was a threat to their new, perfect treasure. A week later, his belongings were packed. "You will go to your grandparents in Vermont," his father said impassively. "You'll be better off there. More freedom. It won't be for long." Oliver stared silently out the car window as it carried him away from Chicago. He didn't cry. He was freezing inside. He saw his mother, not even bothering to wave goodbye, holding Emily up to the window, waving the baby's hand for her. That image, the happy mother and child waving goodbye, became his obsession. A mental photograph of betrayal. Part 3. A heart of ice. Life in Vermont, with his aging, strict, and equally emotionally stingy relatives, finished what his parents had started. His grandmother was always grumbling. His grandfather saw him not as a grandson, but as an obligation. His only outlet became his studies. He attacked them with the fury of a cornered animal. He saw only one goal: to become so powerful, rich, and influential that his family in Chicago would regret the day they cast him aside. His dream was not just to return, but to buy their mansion, ruin his father, and look into his mother's eyes, now full of the fear he had seen long ago. But how to get revenge on Emily? She was untouchable. She was their darling, their light. He couldn't harm her physically, that would be too simple and beneath his future greatness. His hatred sought another outlet, and it found one. He began to hate not her, but her very essence, her femininity, that very fragility, tenderness, and helplessness that his parents so adored. He grew to hate all women whom he believed manipulated, used, and betrayed. He saw their weakness and considered it a weapon. His revenge against his sister transformed into a mission to prove his superiority over the entire female sex, to break them, to demonstrate their depravity. Part 4. The face of vengeance. Years passed. The Great Depression ruined many, but not Oliver. He used the crisis to build a fortune by snapping up assets. By 1935, he was a dark knight of Wall Street, cold, calculating, ruthless. He wore impeccable suits and an icy smile. He was feared. The 9th of July 2025, 1753, and he took his revenge. Systematically and cruelly. He seduced his competitors' daughters to extract secrets and ruin their fathers. He terminated contracts with companies where key positions were held by women, humiliating them publicly. He started romances, drove women to complete emotional dependence, and then abandoned them with the devastating phrase, "You were just a distraction. Insignificant and weak. Like all your sisters." In each of them, he saw the shadow of Emily, pampered, loved, receiving everything that by right should have been his. His reputation as a man who broke destinies grew. But the emptiness inside did not disappear. It only gaped wider. Part 5. The letter. One morning in 1950, his secretary placed an envelope on his massive oak desk. It was addressed in an elegant, feminine hand. The return address was San Francisco. Oliver's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't seen that handwriting in 30 years, but he recognized it instantly. From his mother. He opened the envelope with icy calm, expecting a humbled plea for money after rumors of his father's bankruptcy. But the letter was different. "My dear Oliver, I am not writing to make excuses. There can be none. I am writing because your father passed away a month ago. And with his passing, my silence has lost its meaning. I will die soon. The doctors give me a few months. Cancer. And I cannot go without telling you the truth. The one we should have told you long ago. Emily is not your biological sister. You were our only, our most desired child. But when you were 5, you became very ill. Scarlet fever. The doctors said we could have no more children. It broke our hearts. And then, years later, a miracle happened. I was told I was pregnant again. We were afraid to believe it. We were afraid to jinx it. We were terrified that if something happened to this child, we would not survive it, and we were afraid of you." Oliver reread the last sentence several times. "Afraid of me. You were such a lively, active boy. In our superstitious fear, we saw you as an involuntary threat. We thought you might accidentally push me, bring in germs, be too loud. Our love for you turned into an irrational terror that you might inadvertently take this miracle from us. We shielded Emily with a dome of our anxiety, and you. We pushed away to protect her. It was monstrous, stupid, cowardly. With each passing year, it became harder to admit this mistake. Pride and shame shackled us. We saw you suffering and hated ourselves for it. But we no longer knew how to turn back. Emily knows nothing. She always thought you were a brother who hated her and never understood why. She grew up kind and sensitive and was tormented all her life by the thought that she had done something wrong to lose you. Will you forgive us? I do not ask for myself. I ask for her. She is not to blame. She is your sister, and she is the only family you have now. Her address is inside." The letter fell from Oliver's hand. He slowly walked to the huge window of his penthouse, looking down at the bustling New York City. His entire being, his entire life, built on a foundation of resentment, collapsed in an instant. For 30 years, he had carried a hatred that turned out to be a colossal misunderstanding. He had taken revenge on all women for a betrayal that never happened. He had tried to humiliate in them the very innocence he himself had once, in his fear, sought to protect. He turned and looked at his perfect, cold office, at the portrait of his stern grandfather on the wall, at the to-do list, where among meetings and deals was a note, "Evening, meeting with Emma Hargreaves ruin her father." Then he walked to the desk. He picked up the piece of paper with Emily's address in San Francisco. He stared at it for a long time, and then he picked up the telephone receiver and dialed his secretary's number. The ending. His voice was quiet, but absolutely clear, without a trace of its usual coldness. "Mrs. Hargreaves," he said, "cancel all my appointments for the 9th of July 2025 1753 for an indefinite period, and buy me a ticket to San Francisco, the earliest available flight." He put down the receiver. His hand trembled, and for the first time in 30 years, he allowed himself this weakness. He didn't know what he would say to her. He didn't know if she would forgive him. He didn't know if he could even ever speak to her. But he knew he had to board that plane, because his true revenge on that boy in the car window, on the monster he had become, was only just beginning. And it lay not in destruction, but in the attempt, 30 years too late, to build something